Hello and good afternoon. Welcome you all at a special dialogue series, I might say, with smart city administrators presented by National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, and Smart Cities Mission, Government of India, and organized by APEC News Network on the role of policy, people, and innovation for urban water management. As you all know, who have been following us and the ministry, that for last 2 years, almost every Saturday, we're creating this kind of knowledge sharing platform, a dialogue with the district magistrates where we talk about the best practices uh, of water management. And from this edition, we are starting this dialogue with the smart city administrators. And here also in this edition, we have eminent speakers with us from various parts of the country. But before that, let me introduce to all of you our keynote speaker for this session, Devoshri Mukherjee, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission, Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India. We welcome you, ma'am, and you'll be sharing your thoughts and vision for this knowledge sharing platform and also delivering the keynote address. And we have with us three smart city administrators from various parts of the country, from the west, from the south, and the uh, uh, from west and south, I might say. We have with us Dr. Vinay Goyal, CEO of the Trivandrum Smart City Limited. We welcome Dr. Vinay. Thank you so much for joining us. We have with us Swati Desai, CEO of the uh, Surat Smart City Limited, and we also have with us Raj Cheruval, CEO of Chennai Smart City Limited. We welcome all of you in this knowledge sharing platform, and without taking much time, I'll hand over the session to Devoshri Mukherjee for her thoughts and the keynote address. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Shobhikji. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's great to have you with us. As Mr. Goswami said, we have the National Water Mission has for the last 1.5 years been doing dialogues with DMs. Now, while we were doing these dialogues, they've been of great use. You know, various district authorities, chief executive officers of Zilla Parishads, they have spoken about what they are doing in water management and they have been looking at their challenges, and districts are different based on hydrogeological conditions, and they've been addressing their water challenges in different ways, prioritizing different areas. So that was a great learning, and it is also inspiring for other people. We are using this material with the academy to train other administrators to bring water center stage in terms of development processes. It already is. You're aware that lack of water can be an inhibitor of growth. I don't need to say that to people from Chennai, people from Surat, where water can be a major issue. So what we wanted, but one of the things that I thought when we were talking to the district collectors was sometimes urban water management, which is a fairly complex issue, got left out in terms of emphasis. And therefore, we decided that we would start a series with municipal authorities. And I'm really happy that we're able to start it with CEOs of smart cities. And I look forward to your experiences, to what you are doing to bring water at the center of the development planning process, and also in terms of how you are addressing the issues related to water management. I'll just flag a couple of issues. I think most of this you probably deal with on a regular basis, but just to flag a couple of issues, we all know that the issues of water supply in cities are a little more complex than in rural areas. We're dealing with water supply, wastewater management, water contamination, and urban flooding. And cities consume water for domestic use, commercial and industrial use, and you generate wastewater. The How much consciousness is there in the city about where the water that the city uses comes from? Is it coming from surface water sources from a very long way away? I know Delhi brings its water from 300 kilometers away from the Tehri, a substantial portion of its water. Um, how much of the water that we use is groundwater extraction? And how are you managing questions of quality and sustainability when you use groundwater? The also, is there a recognition of the water energy nexus, particularly in terms of city water supply and wastewater management? There is one estimation that 40% of the energy used in cities, and this depends on city planning, city size, all of that, can be for purposes of pumping for water supply as well as wastewater management. So that is something that we need to keep in mind in terms of planning. Um, so just so I really look forward to your presentations. So just a few questions. If these questions can be answered, I really find it very useful. Is that how central are water bodies, water courses to the consciousness of the urban community? I mean, we normally call groundwater an invisible resource and wastewater also invisible because we just don't think about it once the water is used. So how, and the prime minister keeps talking about water being everybody's business, and we are implementing the Jal Shakti Abhiyan, trying to bring every communities together for better water management. So how does water figure in the consciousness of the urban citizen? The second is, how is water being integrated into urban design? When you build housing complexes, when you build pavements, when cities concretize, how are we integrating water into urban design? And there, I mean, these are two or three. And third is, how do we measure water and water use and wastewater management, and how do we disclose this? And is there any way of bringing again citizens to create a demand for improved water and wastewater management in cities? So I just flag these three questions, and I really look forward to your presentations, because this is for us a means of learning, a means of looking at further policy, and also disseminating the good work that you're doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Devoshi Mukherjee, ma'am, for sharing your thoughts on organizing this dialogue. Might say weekly dialogue, which we are starting with the smart city administrators, and the very three important questions which we have asked, which can be answered by the young smart city CEOs from various parts of the country, which will actually help move into the right direction when we talk about the effective urban water management. Thank you so much, Devoshi, ma'am. With this, I'll request Dr. Vinay Goyal, CEO of Trivandrum Smart City Limited, to share his thoughts and presentation, and also if he can shed some light on the three important aspects raised by Devoshi Mukherjee, ma'am. Over to you, Dr. Vinay Goyal.
Thank you very much. Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Am I audible?
yes, yes, Dr. Vinay. Please go ahead.
And is the presentation visible?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, I think it's coming now. Yeah, it's visible now. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Very good afternoon to one and all. Let me take this opportunity to thank Devashri Mohanty ma'am, Devashri Mukherjee ma'am, Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission, Ministry of Jal Shakti, Government of India. I take this opportunity to thank the entire team behind the Jal Shakti mission. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to present the kind of works Trivandrum Smart City has been doing and bringing this very important topic of water, especially from a perspective of urban governance. If I remember correctly, very recently, water has been included as a commodity in US security market. So this shows what is the importance of water, and more even for an urban administrator, considering the high density of population and the scarcity with which we are operating. I'll quickly take you through the presentation, which will entail in details the work Smart City Trivandrum has been doing in the field of water. So before that, just a quick run through regarding the Smart City mission also. So the Smart City mission, it was launched by our Honorable Prime Minister on 25th of June 2015. The main objective behind that was to provide core infrastructure, clean and sustainable environment, and give a decent quality of life to the citizens through the application of smart solution. Next slide. So this was the concept or the ideology behind coming up with a mission like of a smart city. The 2011 census shows us around 31% of our population lives in urban areas and contribute to 63% of GDP. But more importantly, by 2030, this figure will jump to 40% of India's population living in urban areas, and contribution to GDP will be 75%. So this shows where our focus should be, what are our priority areas in the coming years. Next. So smart cities were selected round wise. We have 100 smart cities. Trivandrum was round 3 smart city, and second in Kerala. Kochi was the first smart city. Next. So this slide shows the water body map for Trivandrum district as a whole. I'll be coming to the corporation area shortly. So we have 3 dams, Nayar, Pepara and Aruvikara Dam, and these are the main rivers, 6 main rivers, and 2 of them are directly flowing through the corporation area. And one thing I would like to highlight at the outset also, the 3 speakers, one from Trivandrum, one from Surat, like we all will be representing the kind of diversity Indian geography has, the challenges different states and different districts has. You all must be aware, we are the first state and the first district to be hit by the monsoon, which will be arriving very soon. So the challenges which Kerala and per se Trivandrum faces are quite different when we compare it with the northern districts, and especially the water scarce districts like Rajasthan and Gujarat. Next slide. So this is the corporation map. Roughly, according to 2011 census, we have a population of around 78 lakhs. We have 100 wards in our Trivandrum Municipal Corporation, and the smart city projects per se, like they focus on 2 concepts: area-based development. So we have some projects which are focused on particular areas. So these are 9 wards which are earmarked in the presentation. The central 9 wards of the city, totaling a population of around 53,000 and 6 square kilometer of area. And we have pan city projects also, which will be covering the entire city areas. Next. So these are certain statistics with respect to water supply. So 78% of the population of the connection is being done now through Trivandrum Municipal Corporation. Per capita supply of water 100 LPCD. The extent of metering is 100%. So whatever connection we are doing, we are having 100% metering for that. But extent of non-revenue water loss, it's very, very high. It's like totaling around 35 to 40%. So these are the areas, these are the inputs which have gone into formulating the projects, like which smart city is doing. Next slide. So these are the specific projects. One smart water meters. I'll be coming to the details one by one. So smart water meter is one area where smart city Trivandrum is operating. Now in Trivandrum and Kerala per se, we have this perennial problem of a waste, like big pond site that becomes a waste site. The people keep on dumping the waste there, and becomes a challenge from health perspective also, and from the perspective of management of floods also. So as part of that, we have taken up rejuvenation of temple tanks, Sri Kanteshwaram Putinchanda temple tanks. I'll be showing the slides also. Karimadam Pond, again, we are rejuvenating. It's in the heart of the city. Drinking water kiosk, that is another project of Smart City Trivandrum, where and the different areas of the city which are having high footfall, Kerala being a tourist-friendly state also. So drinking water kiosks we have installed in various parts of the city, and certain rainwater harvesting projects in our city area. Next slide. So this is the first project, Smart Water Meter. So this will be coming up as part of our integrated command and control center. So as I was highlighting in the previous slide, the non-revenue water loss is amounting to around 35%. So this comes as a handy solution to manage the kind of a water loss, because anyway we can't bear a loss of around 30 to 35%, seeing the kind of population numbers we are serving in the corporation area. So the 2 biggest advantage through the smart water meters will be, one, the readings can be taken remotely. So the corporation persons or officials need not to go home to get the readings. And second, we have this remote controlled valve. So in case of a pipe burst, or in case of maintenance work, or if like we are not getting the bills properly, timely bills, then these valves can be disconnected also remotely. So as of now, we have started with a pilot project, and Around 10,000 smart water meters we will be installing. We are in an advanced stage where we have completed the survey in the ABD area. And as I mentioned, this entire feed will be integrated to our command and control center, where officials from the corporation and water authority department will be like taking the finer details from all the inputs. Next slide. Yeah, like I was talking regarding this temple tank rejuvenation. So as part of that, smart city has taken up two temple tank rejuvenation project. So as you can see, like the images, these were all together discarded. These were like dump areas for the city where like a lot of waste used to get dumped, and this has like a big problem, especially during the monsoon areas when we are witnessing a heavy rainfall, especially during June, July months. So this used to be a big cause for flooding the adjacent areas also. So seeing this smart city Trivandrum took up these two temple tank rejuvenation projects. As you can see, Sri Kandeshwaram is the first one, 2600 square meter area. Next slide. So these are the pictures like after the revamp. So we have done this art paintings also on the periphery. So now it is a proper water body. It is a cleaned water body. It acts as a reservoir of water also. So that is one aspect. And secondly, from health perspective also, the people living in and around that area, so like they can feel the difference now. Next slide. These are some of the pictures from our temple tank revamp. Next slide. Next. Yeah, this is the second pond, which temple tank, which we have taken. You can see the before photos, the kind of the garbage being dumped and kind of wasteland it has been made. Although like it is adjacent to a temple. Next slide. These are the after photographs. You can move on. Yes, next. So we have taken this under smart city. We have revamped the entire area. So not only the water body is cleaned and we are getting a good reservoir, it has become a good tourist spot also with like increasing footfall of tourists coming here. Next, next, next slide. Yeah. Yeah, this is the third project under revamping which Smart City Trivandrum has taken. Karimadam Pond, it lies in the heart of the city, and it's a big pond with an area of around 5,460 square meter. Uh, Although there is no temple adjacent to this area, but there is a big like housing locality. People are living in and around this pond. And next photo, if I can show you, you can just see the kind of the quantity the quantum of waste being dumped there, and it's like causing a big health hazard for all the people living around. Plus the Karimadam pond, it was taken strategically. If you can yes, just move to the previous slide, first slide. Yeah. So along the city drainage system of our canals and rivers, so Karimadam acts as a like a main reservoir for all the incoming water through our dams and rivers, and then it is further connected to the sea because we have sea on one side and hills on the other side. So the cleaning, proper cleaning of this pond becomes very crucial for city flood management perspective. Next slide. So this is an ongoing project, and right now we are in the stage of removing the waste accumulated there. Around 3,000 tons of waste has already been removed, and we will be closing this project very shortly in next 2-3 months time. Next. Yeah. So this is the fifth project which Smart City Trivandrum has taken. As I told earlier, like we have a high footfall of tourists also. So we have identified 25 critical locations in the city area where we have installed this drinking water kiosk. Although the water coming from Kerala Water Authority, it's already pure and certified also. Over here, we have purifiers also. And uh, yeah, next slide. Yeah, this is the sixth one, rainwater harvesting structure. So wherever possible on the sites of Smart City Trivandrum, like we have multi-level car parkings coming up, we have a market redevelopment project, we have a rehab block project, then warehousing project. Wherever possible, where Smart City is making some civil structure, we are having this provision of including this rainwater harvesting structures into our project. Like ma'am was briefing initially, the kind of projects or the kind of initiatives which are inculcated into our components which will like help us in conservation of water. So that is one aspect which we are looking into. Whatever civil structures are coming up, as far as possible, we're trying to include this rainwater harvesting component into that. Next. Yeah. So this is one very interesting project which has been done by Trivandrum Municipal Corporation. So this is a constructed wetland which has been used to treat a variety of waste waters. Like you have runoffs from grounds, from parks, from the roads, from agriculture waste. So this is a constructed wetland. It works like a natural wetland. And the purified water, it can be used for gardening purposes or other purposes. So this is one project which Trivandrum Municipal Corporation is doing, and it's yeah, next. Yeah, so like I was telling, we have hills on one side and the sea on other side, and the topographically area is very small. So we have a big runoff also, and uh, two major rivers are flowing directly through the corporation area. Then cleaning of all these water bodies and especially canals becomes very important for us, especially from a flood management perspective. So this is the activity being done by Trivandrum Corporation and Irrigation Department. These are like we include it under our pre-monsoon activities, where we will be cleaning all these big water bodies. Again, like if cleaned properly, they act as a reservoir for our water, which helps us in during our dry months also of January, February. Next slide. Yeah, so you can see this is a stream being rejuvenated, the before and after photographs. On the right side, you can see it has been done, the banks have been strengthened through this coir geotextile. So it helps the soil to get stuck and get adjusted there properly. And over the top, there is a bamboo plantation. So it goes very deeply. The roots are very deep so that they can hold the soil and the moisture also. Next slide. So these are some of the pics, photographs from that work site. Next. Bamboo plantation, again, we know like the roots of bamboo goes very deep. So wherever possible in our corporation area also, if you're finding some vacant lands in and around the water bodies, we are going for these kind of initiatives. Next. Next. Yeah, so these are the numbers of wells recharged we have done. 158 number of wells we have been recharged. Next. These are the ponds, like construction of new ponds, storage of pond renovation also. And very recently, we received a communication from Government of India also as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav celebration. We have been given a target of revamping 75 more ponds. So again, we are working on that front also. Next. Moisture conservation pits also we are working on. Next. So that is all from Smart City Trivandrum. Uh, Thank you very much again, like for giving us this opportunity to bringing out all the works being done here, and I'd be very happy to answer any query or any doubt. Thank you, ma'am.
Right, right. Thank you so much, Dr. Vinay Goel, CEO of the Trivandrum Smart City, and sharing with us various aspects of smart ways of urban water management in your smart city area. As you have rightly said, that more than 40% people will be staying in urban areas, so it becomes more important that we talk about the urban water management and kind of initiatives being undertaken in Trivandrum Smart City are quite praiseworthy. I'm sure Devashri ma'am will be giving an input at the end of the show. So we'll wait for that. With this, from Thiruvananthapuram, let's move to Chennai. We have with us Mr. Raj Chirwal, CEO of Chennai Smart City Limited. We welcome Mr. Raj. Over to you for your presentation.
Thank you. Are you able to see my slides?
Uh, yes, it has come on screen.
Okay, sure. So since my colleague from Tirundaram has covered quite a bit of the ground, I think he's made my life easier. So I think we are doing very similar work. So 5 years ago when we started we talked about water body restoration. Most people could not even believe what that could be, because most people don't even realize that there are thousands of water bodies in and around Chennai. So there was a lot of disbelief. So what we did was we did some piloting, and then we improved the process, because the question is what exactly is a water body? How do you restore water body? What does restoration mean? Everything becomes a big issue of debate and discussion and no action. So what we did was we wanted to get funds from not only Smart City but government, CSR, various NGOs and so on. And what we basically did was put a process together so that all these various stakeholders could work together and take up as many water bodies as possible. So just a sec. We, believe it or not, restored 210 water bodies in Chennai. This, I think, is a pretty good achievement for a city which periodically has floods and droughts, and water supply, groundwater condition, etc., are pretty bad sometimes. Now it's improved because of these restoration, and like Dr. Vinay said, we've done a lot of rainwater harvesting work, wells, recharge pits, and so on and so forth across the city, lakhs of them. Plus, every institution, houses are supposed to have rainwater harvesting. That's been going on for some time. But one of the main achievement for us is the water body restoration. Approximately, we just did a rough calculation. So to 210 water bodies plus Villivakkam tank, etc., basically means around almost 1,000 acres of land. So quite a bit of water has been saved above the ground, and quite a bit of water has been saved under the ground. And from what I understand, around 4 meters or so of water has gone up underground, directly or indirectly related to this water body restoration. Typically, are you able to see the Zone 14 Annai Lake? Hello?
Yes, we are. Please
Yeah,
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. I just wanted to make sure. Typical condition of lakes and water bodies used to be what you see on the left-hand side. Most of the time, if you stand in front of a water body, you would not even believe it's a water body. Sometimes it looks like a old playground with bunch of garbage, or it's got full of trees and shrubs, or somebody has encroached it, somebody's built a house on it, or temporary structures. So most of the time, the process was about going to these taluk office and so on and getting the FMB sketch. That was a Herculean task, because figuring out where is the water body, where is the damaged and destroyed water body itself was a major exercise. And we thank a lot of the NGOs and government officials who helped us with all that. And there is the typical problem of water bodies being owned by different agencies. The multiplicity of agencies that causes a lot of problems in the city. But at least what we have done is we've taken whatever is under the Greater Chennai Corporation, we took pretty much all those water bodies. So what you see on the left is a very old picture of what it is. Then typically what we do is either we get a consultant to do the DPR, detailed project report, or we get an NGO who has done water body restoration to figure out what does water body restoration mean. We create a detailed project report, and then we basically, depending on where the fund is coming from, we get contractor or the NGO itself implements. Uh, so it is the same lake, same water body that I showed you earlier, which was in pretty bad shape. Today it's very, very well appreciated by the public. And you can only imagine how much water is stored in this and how much flood is prevented because of this kind of restoration. These are smaller ones, but the point is that, as you can see, most of these are surrounded by all kinds of buildings and industry and so on. So it's obvious why people had difficulty figuring out what exactly is a water body, or where is the water body. So quite a bit of this work has gone on. And just to give you some numbers, 64 water bodies were taken up under CSR funds from CREDI, Rotary, Lions Club, and so on. About 62 were taken up under Smart City. Rest were taken up under the government's funding. So quite a bit of help we got from Tamil Nadu government and various other agencies. And this is one of our very proud achievement. This one, if you had seen 2 years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, this was just a sewage dump because it was used as a sewage dump by the water department, the oxidation pond and so on. And then one of the other issue was that there was no connectivity of stormwater drain to this area. So 2015, this area actually got flooded because not only was this place full of sewage and silt, there was also no stormwater drain connectivity. So what we have done in the last 2 years is we have completely restored this tank. Villivakkam tank is in the north of Chennai, and this will be soon kind of a little Disneyland for the public over there. So they can, without destroying the water, etc., they can enjoy walking and sports activities and so on. And very importantly, the various water stormwater drains have been connected to this, so that water would flow from one side to the other into the lake during the rain. And when the lake gets filled, the excess water continues to the stormwater drain and towards the sea, which is much further away. But this clearly has a positive impact on the area during the rains by preventing waterlogging, flooding, and so on. We have also created a glass bottom lake, bridge across, so that public can go there and enjoy, and more importantly keep an eye on the water body, so that future pollution and encroachment can be prevented. This is an aerial view of it. We should be inaugurating this very soon. Then very importantly, this is the restoration of water body part. Then there is the measurement of parts. You see, in management they say, right, if you can't measure, you can't manage. So what Metro Water, which is the water supply department in Chennai, said is that a lot of the Chennai supplied water through tankers, but they had very little idea of how much this tanker is actually getting, how much water is inside the tanker. And as you can imagine, what happens to such a system where the tanker fills in more but accounts less, and so on and so forth. So not only it's a wastage for taxpayers' money, it was also wastage of water. So what we did was that we funded like an ATM card. So every driver of this tanker has an ATM card which has built-in number. So let's say 6,000 liter. So he or she has to put the ATM card into this machine, and only that much water is released. So this way, the Metro Water is able to keep track of how many tankers and how much water each tanker is carrying and where it's going and so on. So much better control of the water supply. Similarly, very importantly, there are two kinds of metering that we have done. One is a bulk metering, that is for commercial and big establishments. There was very little idea of how much this big building is consuming. So if the meter is not working, they would just put an average, even though the water consumption may be much higher. So this is one thing Smart City has funded, and I'm sure it's saved a lot of money and water for the public. And also there is another kind of metering, which is like the zone. I mean, like what do you call it? Entry point into the city, exit in from a DMA kind of. I think 200 odd meters we have provided. This also helps them understand the flow of water between the various parts of the city. So what we realized from some studies earlier on was that for example, T Nagar, which is the ABD area, it's not a question of not having water. It's a question of let's say the west side has plenty of water, the east doesn't have any water. I mean, in a matter of 2-3 kilometers. The issue wasn't lack of water. Issue is management of water. So these kinds of smart metering, which basically you don't need a man or a woman to go check the meter every now and then. It communicates with the central server periodically, telling you how much water flow went through it and so on. So these kinds of mechanisms not only help you measure how much water went in and out, and if there is pilferage and so on, but it also saves because of manpower cost. You don't need people going and checking all the time. Plus, you can switch off the meter from remotely, on and off it. Also, for example, if the meter is not working, you obviously get a message in the server, and you get notified that the meter is not functioning, so you can take action. Compared to a traditional meter which doesn't communicate with the server, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and you don't get to collect the fees. So I think this is just a tip of the iceberg, but these are some pretty important things I think all these cities need to do. And lastly, what I would say is that we need to start using all this data that is coming from the not only water body restoration, but also from smart meters and so on, to be able to change consumer behavior. I think for a lot of Western countries have done this, where in your water bill, they can tell you how much water was consumed, how much water was consumed by your neighbor. All these kinds of behavioral economics kind of mechanisms will help people realize how much water they are consuming, and use the latest methodology to help people conserve water. So I think these are the things we need to do to be able to sustainably manage our water supply and demand and supply. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raj Cherubal, CEO of the Chennai Smart City Limited. I think the last suggestion given by you is very important, where you talked about the analyzing data for consumer change in consumer behavior pattern, so that we can conserve more urban water. Thank you so much for your insights. I'll request Devoshri Mukherjee ma'am. I think Mr. Raj Churwal has to leave for an urgent meeting. So if you have any question, you can ask Mr. Raj, so that then we can move to the next speaker. Over to you, ma'am.
So, not questions. I normally keep my comments for the end of the session, but since you have to leave, just a couple of interesting points, both for you and Mr. Goel. So, Mr. Goel, have all your water bodies been tagged, geotagged, uh, and sort of because you talked about some tanks being rejuvenated, but have all of them been identified and geotagged?
Yes, ma'am. All the projects of Smart City Trivandrum, not only water bodies, other projects also. So we
No,
have
no, no,
this.
not projects. The
Yes, ma'am.
general ideas in your area, because
Yes.
what Mr. Cherubal said was very interesting. We have been asking districts and district authorities to identify water bodies, geotag them, and ensure that they're entered in the revenue records. He actually talked about the reverse. Go back to your revenue records, find the water bodies, and go to the ground and identify them, which I find a very interesting idea, which is about being able to find all your water bodies. So that's really interesting. So I hope that within your geographic area, you at least identify all your water bodies. The ones that you take up is a different thing, but it is important because water bodies tend to disappear if they're at least not made part of the records of the city. So that's an interesting thing. Also, the idea about using data to affect behavior, to influence behavior change, is very, very interesting. I'd like to hear more about that. Maybe we can look at Chennai taking the lead on this, so that other cities can learn from it. But the last thing that I'd request you to do, and this would be for all three after Swati speaks, is that, the water energy thing, it's let's start trying to measure how much energy we are using per LP, per 1,000 liters of water supplied and wastewater treated. That would be an interesting thing to do, because so that, again, if we don't measure, we don't manage. So thanks so much. It's really nice to have heard you, Mr. Cherubal.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks. Now we move to Ms. Swati Desai, CEO of the Surat Smart City Limited. Over to you. Presentation.
Hello, and I'm audible.
Yes, yes, ma'am. You're audible.
Good afternoon, one and all, and thank you, Mrs. Debashish Mukherjee, ma'am, for the giving us an opportunity to us to showcase the whatever the successful stories we had been go for the wastewater management. As far as Surat city is concerned, for the wastewater management, I'm just sharing my presentation right now. I am along with my concerned department head, how we are running our wastewater management whole the system in the city itself. So for Surat itself, eight largest city as far as the population is concerned. Surat is divided around the 474 kilometers as per the under jurisdictions of the Surat city. Surat is also tagged as the fastest growing city as per the Oxford Economics and Global Cities 2030's report. And as for the economic of Gujarat, Surat is a hub of textile and diamond itself. We can say city's growth by decade, it is around 60 to 80% since last 4 decades. You can see in 2000, in 1980, there was a populations are remarkably boost up in 2011. There is a 44 lakhs around right now population we have as per the census of the 2011. Right now we can say 17 lakh 70 lakhs populations are covered in the city's jurisdiction area. uh, these are the things that had been so for the Surat city itself. We can also see that next Surat is one of the best city as far as water plus city under the Surat Smart Swachh Bharat Mission scheme. Surat also got the best performing cities under the Smart City missions. Surat is the second cleanest city of India so far. Surat is first climate smart assessment framework too. As well, Surat got the second rank in municipal performance index last year. Surat has got fifth rank in ease of living index. So these are the success stories of Surat milestones so far as. Next, as far as water waste management systems in Surat, right now we had covered around 100% of present population catered for the wastewater management. You can see sewerage collection and treated is around total 970 mld. Rest of that, length of sewerage network in all around the city are 2022 kilometers. We have 63 pumping stations around the city, whose capacity is about 2,109 mlds. As far as STPs are concerned, we have 11 STPs, capacities of 1655. Among 970 mld, we are treated, reuse our wastewater 319 mld from the SCADA system for operation and monitoring the efficiency enhancement. We can say reuse of 100% treated water. We are from 100% of O&M cost from networks and STVs. We have digital complaint redressal system for the water wastewater management system itself. Uh, Next, these are the indicator reports from 2000 last years. So we have coverage of 100% of these parameters are covered by the itself. Coverage of wastewater network service, we are about 100%. Collection of efficiently water waste network, we have also crossed near about 100%. Adequacy of water waste treatment capacity, we have 134. These are the parameters we had been already achieved in excellence way. Next, concept of recycle reuse of sewage water through tertiary treatment. Tertiary treatment is one of the success model among our Surat Municipal Corporation and Smart City Mission project itself. Uh, Surat has already right now we have 115 MLD treatment plants existing in Surat city to treat a tertiary level treatment. The project concept was initially executed because of the tertiary treatment of the secondary waste sewage to generate industrial grade water to supply the industrial grade water to Sachin and Pandesara. As Surat is located on the river bank of Tapi, there is a very huge scope of textile and diamond industries. So many our industries are based on the water uh, need itself. So the need of the industrial and need of the city's expansion day by day, both to provide a drinkable water and to provide a industrial grade water, we have since we had faced so many challenges, but since 2024 we have been initiated this tertiary treatment project as per our one of aspiring project to treat our secondary treatment water as a tertiary treatment. Because of this, we can able to provide the industrial grade water to the industries based on the water itself. So this is kind of a raw success model story that had been we have achieved. The main objective was this, like we have to recycle and reuse the water and reduce the deficiency of the conventional resource of the water. Next, to adopt the tertiary treatment project, the vision is to promote the reuse of the treated wastewater, purpose of the gardening and industrial reuse tankers, filling lakes, restoration, flushing, construction, and agriculture purpose. The vision is also set to maximize the collection and treatment of general sewerage and reuse of the treated wastewater on a sustainable basis, thereby reducing the dependency of the fresh water. We can say kind of we are saving our drinkable water itself to provide our public residential pockets. The mission is to have revenue generation also. We reach a level of 100% treatment of the collection of sewerage as per the prescribed standard. Also, we reuse the 70% of tertiary wastewater by the 2025. the reuse of 100% of treated wastewater by 2020-30. That is, we are achieving our zero liquid discharge from this timeline. Right now, we have already 30% of sewerage secondary treated water are reused as a tertiary uh, uh, treatment water. Next. So right now, treated wastewater reused among 970 MLD apart from 319 MLD. We are having a kind of a use of that wastewater into various sectors. These are the textile culture. We are providing the 160 MLD. We are providing industrial use, that is the tertiary treated water, 112 MLD to those industrial pockets for their water need. We had providing a regeneration of legs x2 mld. We also providing biodiversity park, dream city project, landfill close ecological park, waste to compost facility, agriculture mass plantation, gardening, traffic signal, road divider through the tanker filling station. So we are planning to give the treated secondary treated water to the construction purpose, as well as metro rail project are here in Surat right now. So all those construction side are given secondary treated water. We have a biodiversity park covered 87 hectare land. So on that particular, we want to provide that secondary treated water, watering of trench lines in the zones, rejuvenation of lakes and with the heavy water bonds. These are the kind of parameters we are providing right now still far. Next. uh, this is a success story that Surat has already been across. Surat is a big, being a textile city, there is a more than 450 dyeings and printing houses in Surat. Pandesara Industrial Area is a major textile cluster with more than 125 dyeings and printing house. So they are the bulk water user right now. Pandesara Industrial Estate was merged with the municipal limits in 1986, and SMC supplies starting potable water for industrial purpose since 1998. So, major is to meet the increased water demand of the industries and reduce the burden on the water resource primarily required for domestic purpose. And SMC has initiated the idea to option for using the treated wastewater to satisfy the industrial demand. With the support of user industries and the state government, SMC had built 40 MLD tertiary reliable wastewater treatment plant, which is successful model and operational since 2014. Next. So after the success of first larger operational tertiary treatment plant for Pandesara industrial pocket, the additional demand also been raised for the TTP water as processed water their industries, and hence additional 40 MLD TTP has been undertaken by the smart city mission at Dinoli. So looking to assure the quality and quantity of TTD water, industrial setup adjoining to the city also come up forward to get their wastewater for their own industrial purpose. So we had also get the 35 MLD treated TTD plant at Bamroli. So this is the inspiring story and implementation of the Pandeshara industries as well to protect हाँ, कहीं नहीं. The project is successfully commissioned and certified tertiary traceable to Sachin GIDC, being supplies to the GIDC since 2020. Next. Next. As far as the model and project is already succeed, on the financial side, total operational and maintenance cost toward the complete sewerage system existing in Surat is about 110 CR, including operation management and electricity cost. The total tertiary treatment plant capacity right now we have existing is 150 MLD, and the capital project for this tertiary treatment plant is 314 CR, and among that operation maintenance cost is around 300 crores for 10 years. That we can say for every year we are spending 30 crores as O&M cost for maintaining tertiary treatment plants. So total recycled water supplied to industries till date, that is 1 lakh 800 and 600 with 8,604 milliliters. Though this also this we are we to those industrial pocket we are charging a kind of startup rupees, that is 1820 per kiloliters in year 2014. This rate is increased yearly based on the actual increase on O&M cost and RBI indexation. The present rate of treated wastewater is at 31 rupees around. So these are the metering system over there, and we can able to get the revenue, annual revenue generation from this project is we can say we are annual our revenue generation is 140 cr. That is the huge and success story we can already achieve. So apart from this project is now we can say sustainable project itself, because we already crossed our revenue generation apart from the expense what we had been capitalized and on the ground of O&M. Next. These are the parameters for the tertiary treatment plant or the water quality achieved for the tertiary treatment. These are the parameters that the standard 100 10,500 standards we are already follow that with a kind of a drinkable water that one can able to use for the industrial purpose itself. Next. So these are the success story right now for the our this project. uh, the way forward for the next future is considering the amount of sewage that has been currently treated, and based on the recent policy of government of Gujarat has recently introduced the policy that around the 50 kilometers of diameters of the area of the city limit has to be used their retreated water, not to the potable drinking water, to their industrial area. On this policy, we are go ahead for the Surat Municipal Corporation proposed to replicate this project to supply the industrial grade wastewater to the industries located nearby the city. We can say now on the demand of the surrounding city area, there is a many pockets of SR, Hazira, and many industrial pockets are there. Those demand are here for the reuse potable water. The plan is used to treat wastewater is to industrial use and for non-potable water itself. Based on the location of industries in and around the city, Surat city, and location of various sewerage system plants in the city, the complete area has been zoned into main three clusters, that is Besan cluster, Dindoli cluster, and Karanj cluster. The details regarding the demand of various industries have been collected from the industries and accordingly the detailed project report and proposal has been submitted to the government of Gujarat itself. So in near future, we are covering whole city area nearby industrial pockets to provide them treated water to make their industrial water demand and reduce the burden of natural conventional water source. Presently, more than 30% of sewerage quality generation generated from the city been recycled and used, and we are planning to reuse 70% of total sewerage by the year of 2025 itself. Next. These are the comprehensive potential users nearby the STPs. These are the industrial pockets that we are networking and we had providing the reasonings to their industrial pockets and providing them the treated water for the industrial use. Next. So for the our 70% of the total sewerage water plan, we had been under the planning of this right now STPs we are under process. There is a 313 mld we are planned to recycle this secondary treated water and provide it to Hazira Industries cluster. There is 100 MLD we are providing the industries in Pandesara, and there is 10 MLDs of various gardens also in the Surat city itself. We are providing in every gardening for the horticulture and agriculture purpose. So there are 440 mld where we are planning to treat water on a tertiary level, and total capacity of 970 out of 750 mld we are going to achieve by the year of 2025 itself. Next. So these are the success story for the Surat itself to use of the wastewater into the revenue generation success story, and to balance the industrial needs as well as the residential needs itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Swati Desai, CEO of the Surat Smart City, for sharing with us insights on what kind of work being done in Surat in terms of treating wastewater and also reusing it for various purposes. Quite commendable job, I must say. Over to you, Devosh Mukherjee ma'am, for your thoughts on this presentation.
Thank you so much, Swati. That's a very inspiring presentation. Just a quick question from the numbers that you talked about. So in terms of the contracts that are already in place, it seemed like you break even in 5 to 6 years, including the
Yes.
capital investment as well as your O&M costs.
Ma'am, actually, on the capacity of 319 mld, we have already across our capital cost as well as O&M cost. Now we are sustainable and get the revenue income in terms of revenue income for the municipal other project itself. For the upcoming project, we have submitted the DPR to the government, and on their basis, capital infrastructure will be provided by the SMC. On the basis of that, we are able to revenue generation for the that particular things also.
So it's not possible to do this in PPP mode, given that there's an assured revenue stream there.
Uh, we can also, ma'am, think on particular that segment also. But right
That's
now,
an
the success story, yes, the success story with what we had been achieved so far, we are in that particular action plan for this. Uh, this also can be, it can be projected as a PP mode also.
right, right. Interesting. So what's your so you said it's about
Hello.
at this the cost. Can you hear me?
No,
Am I
ma'am, I'm not
audible?
hearing you. No, yes, ma'am. Now,
Okay.
yes, ma'am. Yes,
So
ma'am.
so the per unit cost you said is about 32 rupees, right? At which you are selling to industry. 32 rupees per kiloliter.
Ma'am, you are not. No, ma'am. Actually, your voice is not audible to us.
Ma'am, your mic
There
is
is
muted.
kind of internet issue, I think, going on.
Sorry, my mic was muted for some reason. Is this better?
Yeah, ma'am. Now it's better.
Okay. So you're saying 32 rupees per unit per kiloliter is the cost that you are supplying to industry. What is the alternative source for
Yes,
industry? Because can the industry use groundwater alternatively and refuse to buy at 32 rupees?
ma'am.
Am
Ma'am,
I not audible?
ma'am, you're audible to me. Swati ma'am, can you hear Devoshri ma'am?
No, no, I'm not able to hear. Actually, there is an internet issue as going on. We are not able to hear
Okay,
ma'am's
let me try
voice.
and switch off my camera. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, ma'am. We can able to hear you now.
Right. So I was just asking, suppose the industry decides to use groundwater. Is there a way to stop them, or is groundwater not available?
No, ma'am, we are not able. We are not permit them for the ground water
Extraction of groundwater.
use for the industry. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We have a mechanism over here. We are not. Allow us to use that groundwater for the
Okay,
use.
okay, okay. Thank you. That was really, really interesting, and I think we learned a lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Vinay. Thank you, Swati, both of you. It's been a very
Thank
good
you, ma'am.
first session, and I'm sure that for us also it's been a learning experience, and also for generally when we share it, it will be a learning experience for other officers working with similar issues. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Same.
Devoshri Mukherjee, Madam Additional Secretary and Mission Director, National Water Mission. Minister of Jal Shakti, Government of India, Dr. Vinay Goyal, CEO of Trivandrum Smart City Limited, Swati Desai, CEO of Surat Smart City Limited, and Raj Cheribal, CEO of this Chennai Smart City Limited. As Devoshri ma'am was saying in the beginning, that we have created this kind of knowledge sharing platform so that the best practices can be discussed, so that we can all make a policy accordingly to incorporate those best practices for effective usage of water, especially keeping in mind the urban sector. And Dr. Vinay, I think, has said in the beginning that all three participants today actually also represent the diversity of the country. Every city has got a unique problem, unique challenges, unique opportunities, and unique innovation, which can be seen, heard, and can be replicated to other regions as well, according to their need and the uh, system. So, on this note, we'll end this session here, and I'm sure deliberations made today will be of use, very useful to all of us who are all doing our bit or trying our bit to make a difference for effective urban water management. Thank you. Goodbye. Take care. See you in the next edition, where we again have a dialogue with the DMs, and maybe it will be followed by the dialogue with the smart city administrators as well. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Take care.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Savik ji.